All right, let's start our panel discussion. So this panel discussion will be in English, and I will ask you to introduce yourself. Let's start with Kupi, who has already done it, so it will be fast.
Yeah, I'm still Kope.
It's still him. Let's welcome him in the panel. No, да, аплодисменты.
Let's give some applause to Kupi. Introduce him. I have introduced him as a first speaker.
I'm from Metropolis UAS, which is Finland's biggest UAS, and I've been building game education. I'm a former from the industry, and now I've been building game education there for the last 3 years.
Right.
Привет, my name is Arja Martikainen, and I used to work as the HR manager of Digital Chocolate, which was one of the biggest sources of games developers in Finland. And for 3 past years, I've been recruiting games people for various companies. I'm also running the service called Games Jobs Finland, and we also accept international candidates. So contact me. Come to my
Если кто-то ищет работу, вот к этой девушке нужно подходить.
Any of you needs a job, just get to know this woman here.
I'm a former university marketing teacher and researcher. And a couple of years ago, I realized that I don't want to talk about business. I want to make some business happen. Currently, I'm CEO of the Do Dreams game studio in Helsinki. We're the makers of Drive Ahead. Drive Ahead is a gladiator car fight where you score points by hitting your friend in the head with a car. And on Android, Russia is our biggest market. I don't know why that is, but looking at the traffic, here I think you are using Drive Ahead for a driver's education.
That's what we do actually, in the city, so that's how we do it. All right, thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Anna-Kaisa Kultima and I'm a president of the non-profit organization called Finnish Game Jam, the one that Kope already talked about. We've been an organization for 3 years officially, but we started 2010 to run game jams in Finland, and we do kind of occupy every January more than 1,000 people in Finland, which you need to remember the 2,700 of the total industry. So, yeah, if you want to know more about the game hobby scene, so game makers' hobbies, talk to me.
Okay, thank you very much. My first question will be to any of you who can answer. So, if I'm walking in Helsinki, what are the chances to meet a game developer? I mean, which person will be a game developer? Every second, every third? What do you think?
If you go to the bar, it will be greater chance.
Okay, that's how they look for the inspiration.
Well, I would say that at least most people I meet have a great idea for a game.
Ideas are great. That's true.
And one of my biggest jobs has been to say no to the wannabes. So I want to find the people that really want to do games and they have the passion. So it's hard to find.
All right. So Kopi mentioned that right now with the free-to-play games, it's harder and harder to make a successful game, at least a game that will make you rich, right? So what do you think it takes and why do you think that maybe, if you think that Finnish game studios have more chances to succeed in this? So what does it take to make a successful game right now, and why Finnish studios have more chances? What do you think, if they do?
No, I could start with so you have to have a real passion to do games, and then if you have people around that have business wisdom, then you can probably find the combination to make a successful game. It's still really hard. I know that it's hard for our mates at Supercell.
What about money? Do you need to have a lot of money?
You need some money. It's first of all, you need to try to make it work, or try to make the game first. But remember to save some money for launching, and you have to be lucky also, so to say.
Do you think it's easier to find money in Finland?
Well, we pay very high taxes in Finland, and the good thing about that is that it's also possible to get funding for projects. So there are different kinds of instruments that the government can offer. For example, if you're a university researcher and you have an idea for a startup, you might get money for that. And if you're developing some technology, then the Finnish Tekes, the Finnish National Agency for Funding Technology and Innovation, can help. So there are different options there. Usually it's very small money. So it's enough for a small team to spend a couple of months focusing on getting a prototype.
What's considered small in Finland?
Less than 10.
Less than 10,000 euros.
Like money or studio size.
Money.
Yeah.
I mean,
how
Eric
much money
mentioned...
did you have in your pocket when you started?
Well, the
he
thing
had a
is
hole
that,
in his pocket when
yeah,
he
I
started.
mostly just holes in my pocket, but it can come in small installations. So you get a couple of thousand from somewhere, and then maybe 20, 40,000 from somewhere else, and so you have to constantly be proving the funding agencies that you're able to get results with the money. So you're not going to get the government like giving you huge amounts of money from the start. You have to show that you can consistently go forward with your team.
Yeah, at least Tekes is very tech savvy, so they see so many products or like prototypes that they are quite clever in looking at it. Then there are like other fundings, like for example SISU, which is giving seed money. Mm-hmm. And when you are able to make something to show, and if it has even some success, so then you can find people that have the route to the bigger money. Okay. But you have to be clever, like what do you accept? Not just to take anything, and then because you may be screwed because of it. So, and it's good to seek wisdom and advice. So, like what to take and with whom to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that quite often in many businesses, not only in the games industry, it boils down to the fact, who do you know? If you have a good network of people who know some other people, and you are willing to share, and you are able to get information always from your peers, it basically means that it gives you kind of competitive edge. Because the games industry is actually quite a small industry. I don't know the number of the people working globally in the games industry, but let's say that it's less than 5 million. It's not possible to know everybody, but if you know certain people, you have quite a widespread network of people, and that's the advantage the second round startups also have.
I'd like to say that before you get to the money, if you look at the money success in the Finnish companies, they have come out of the extensive experience. So within the game industry, when nothing is certain, it's not that you're gambling, but that you're actually building an intuition how to follow that trail of, gold nuggets, so to speak. So that's very important. Also, in terms of the network, because what you can't get with an experience of your own, you can get an experience of the others that you know.
And it's about the community and sharing, which is basically one of the key issues in the Finnish games industry. So we don't have a domestic market, or it's very small, it's insignificantly small. So basically, companies are able to cooperate inside.
So what are you saying, that companies prefer to cooperate and share their numbers or whatever experiences to help each other?
Yeah, that's basically what the companies have been doing for years. So.
Yeah, maybe I can give some practical experiences here. I think if you're a part of a community, of course, you get back what you put in there. So I'm not saying that if you go to Finland and everybody's going to start hugging you and showing you their numbers.
That's Denmark.
Yeah, that's probably Denmark. No, but it's like if you show that you're a part of the community, then you get help from others. So, for example, when we launched Drive Ahead, our current game, I didn't have experience with ad revenue models. So I sent a text message to one of our competitors, Petri Järvilehto from Seriously, the makers of Best Fiends. And he called me back right away, and we had a chat for like 15 minutes or half an hour on how to organize different ad networks and which ad networks perform well in games, and also going down to game design. However, I do feel that you can get feedback for your game if you go to the IGDA events or different parties, but that's kind of like friendly advice. But and we feel that everybody has to make a great game on their own. And then like these secondary issues like monetization, then people are really happy to share.
This is the second time they mentioned that you have to go to the bars if you're a game developer in Finland. That's the most important part of the network, and that's how I see it. How often, by the way, do you have these gatherings for developers?
Well, depending. IGDA is organizing once a month gathering.
Okay.
But then there is different gatherings which are organized by somebody else. I would guess that we have around 20 gatherings per year, plus the trade missions, because trade missions are also kind of gatherings for the game developers.
Okay.
Sometimes you meet Finnish developers, like peer developers on the other side of the world. And
GDC San Francisco, yeah.
Okay. Если есть у кого-то вопросы конкретные, например, хотите про налоги.
You have specific questions, you have some experience to share, you can use your opportunity and do it right now.
Developers are friendly. We will ask companies that moved to Finland about their opinion on that later. But right now, what do you think? How friendly Finnish developers will be to Russian developers that move to Finland? How helpful they're going to be? What do you think?
No, I would imagine that they are equally friendly. But I think that in Finland, I've been in this industry since 2004, and we started out of nothing practically. So this fabulous success of Supercells and such is done out of nothing. And I think that we decided already early on that you do not stab your peers to their back, and you do not do stupid politics, because there are certain wisdom that you can't buy because it doesn't exist. So it's better to share all the knowledge that we have and trying to make the best, because not all of us are going to be the big winners, but many of games developers in Finland can make a good, decent business out of it. And then when you build on experience on top of when you stay in the industry for many years, you learn enough, and maybe at some point you will hit a fabulous team that will break it. So I can't I want to underline this, that give and get, and it's a win-win for everybody. And also, as a Russian developer, Finns are always interested in Russian markets. Who knows? Maybe there is a hub someday that benefits us both.
And basically, I don't know if it's about if you are Russian or not. It's about if you are part of the community. Yeah. We have been doing cooperation with the Swedes, and that's something for a Finn. So.
All right. Question?
Question.
I believe one of the biggest problems in the Russian market in the recruiting field is the lack of good manager skills. And what is the main one in Finnish market?
Okay, let's talk about human resources and hiring. So there is actually quite a big problem for hiring specialists for game industry. So Alexander here mentioned that there is a problem with hiring people for management. I would add that it's not just this, it's actually quite hard to find a programmer, for example, iOS or Android programmer. Oh my God. I mean, for Russia, they ask a lot of money, and it's the demand is so high that you can spend a few months looking for the right guy. So how is it in Finland? How easy it is to find specialists, especially with the education, with the hobbies and stuff, right? So how easy it is to hire people for game companies?
Well, it's definitely hard also in Finland, but on the educational side, we have more students than we have places on yearly basis. Mm-hmm. So definitely there's some extra people there.
Do companies like hiring students? Because usually everybody wants people with experience,
Well, I'm trying to make them to do that more. And I think there's been some changes in the industry already, that they've come to realize that the doers are coming from somewhere. And the earlier you are there, the more likely you're going to get them. So if you come back there in 2 years' time, they're going to be gone already.
Students might already have experience if you think about in making full games, that we run events that in a weekend you create one game. So that creates a portfolio, and competitive one for the ones that don't have any experience. So it doesn't necessarily matter if you're a student, you might already have a great experience and a portfolio, and that makes it kind of more attractive for people to hire.
Eric, would you hire students?
I've hired 5 students in the last year. So I have no problem with that. When I look at a person, it doesn't matter if you're a Russian or a student or wherever you're from, I always want to see that what has this person actually done? Like, do they have games or other projects or references that are currently live online? So several times have people come to a job interview and they say that I've made a game. And I ask them that, can you show it to me? Then they take their phone and they look at it and say that, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a version of it now. So then for me, like, the interview is over there. So definitely you can hire students, and it's actually, if you collaborate with the universities, you can even get people on a trainee program. It's not necessary to pay a salary in the beginning for a couple of months.
Do you think it's good for a company? I mean, people who go... No, not just to work, but for training, they actually takes a lot of time, but not necessarily bring you the result you want. Do you think it's worth it?
It has worked for us when you look at what has the person done before. So if you can see that someone has, with their friends, made a game and they've gone through that hell of getting it reviewed for the App Store or published it on the Google Play, then of course they are probably experienced enough to start working for you. But you have to make sure that they get support. So that's true. They might not be able to work independently immediately, but quite quickly, in 1, 2, or 3 months, they're able to do it. And I just feel that as a manager or CEO of our studio, I look at all my employees and try to figure out that what's the next thing that this person wants to learn, so they would be motivated and they can get fulfillment and joy from their work, and you help them be better people, and they'll make the company better then.
Do you think such tradition, such approach is typical for Finland, or you think it is?
Because that's the only way to grow new games developers.
I have a question to the audience. We have a lot of developers from Russia and Ukraine here, and what do you think? Do you like hiring students, or we don't have that many talented students yet because we don't have this game education in Russia? Вы нанимаете вот людей, которые еще не имеют большого опыта, но имеют какой-то опыт? Константин.
Konstantin, what about you?
3 years ago, I hired a student. He was on the first course of university. He didn't have any experience, but I saw that he has a good hand in drawing. He studied to draw, to animate, and he participated in some of our projects, and it was his practice. And now he graduated in the university and got a diploma, and he's a high level artist now, and he worked with us and participate in some projects as a no. He have a revenue share.
That is motivating.
Yeah, actually, when I was asking you, I just realized that we were looking for Android programmer for a long time, and we couldn't find the right candidate. And we actually hired a student from another city who is working with us now, and he is on his last year of education, I think, and he's doing his job really well, and we are really happy. And his salary is not that high because he's just a student, right?
I would like to add to this that because it's so difficult to find a talent, you need to grab them early on. So, for instance, in Finland, it's not only about drinking beer with people in the bars, but if you go for a game jam and you're looking to hire, it's a great place to see whether that person is not only talented, but with a good and great group dynamics. So it's a great fit, and not only about talent, but great fit for the company that you want to invest and teach more.
And basically, as a recruiter, I would recommend you to hire rather than that talented and eager junior than a tired Android developer doesn't have any passion to games.
And that's the one thing with students, they're extremely passionate. I mean, it's unbelievable. We have 65 per year basis, and they're crazy. And what Eric said about this, like when they come to the interview without a working build or portfolio, this is something we recognized, and we won't let them leave without those. They have to do this. And we plan to make so that once they graduate or they studied a few years, they're going to have several games that are already done.
Okay, we have a question.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Евгений.
I'm Evgeny, and my question is as follows. How do you start your company in Finland? What are the government preferences, the government incentives that are available then? What's the point of moving to Finland?
We will continue later because we have something planned for that. But the question was how easy it is to start a company in Finland. How does the government help to do that? And is there any reason for Russian companies to go and open the company in Finland? Why is it better than in other countries?
I think that Oleg is going to have a kind of
Do you have an opinion or
speech about that? Are you going to cover the issue all the way?
Олег у нас в конце самом будет рассказывать буквально конкретно, как открывать.
Well, Oleg will be actually covering that in detail. It's
18:30 говорит, расскажет.
Yeah, it's 6:30. The time slot for that is.
In Finland, you mentioned community, strong community. Then probably number 2 is that you have a lot of educational programs, right? So you have a lot of passionate specialists. What else?
Well, it relates a bit to hiring when people ask that would we hire a Russian person. If the bureaucracy is handled by somebody else, then life is easier, right? So I wouldn't hire a Russian person if I have to figure out how to get a work permit for him, right, or her. So the same thing is if I'm a Finnish job seeker, you'd probably want the company to be in Finland if you want to join that organization. And then, when you're based in Finland, there's the community. You're eligible for different funding programs.
You mentioned that there are a lot of taxes. Are there any benefits for game companies in Finland in terms of taxes?
Not in form of taxes, because it's against our religion to have any kind of tax breaks. But we have subsidies. It's basically another way of handling the situation. But there is no tax breaks in Finland or any of the Nordic countries.
So you mean that any company pays taxes in the same way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the right answer would be Canada if you are looking for some
tax breaks. Yeah.
All right.
Or Singapore, they have quite extensive tax breaks program.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Alexander. I'm indie game developer and also one of community leader in Russia. So, is in Finland Finnish game developers community interesting to cooperate with Russian game developers community to make some activities, to make some events together? Have you interest in this?
Naturally, yes, of course, yeah. Why not?
And I think the reason they are here is because they're, actually looking
Hey, you have a connection. Just set up something.
We have a couple of organizations that would be interested in collaboration. IGDA, International Game Developers Associations, Finnish, chapter, and then our hubs and sub-chapters all around Finland. And then Finnish Game Jam, which is running the game development events in Finland. And maybe a couple of others too that you might want to have cooperation with. But we are always looking for some kind of fun together. Yeah?
All right. Do you have any rough estimations maybe of how big the salaries are for game development specialists? I know, let's say a programmer, a game designer, a producer. Like what's a good salary? How much you pay to your employees? Eric, again, you again. Tell us everything.
Well, I'm not going to say how much I pay, but I can give you like a rough estimate.
Okay.
So for a junior developer, I don't know, maybe starting salary something around 2,500 euro.
Yes, around
then
2,500.
You need to be already graduated
per year, per month.
Monthly.
If you've
Monthly.
graduated, yeah.
Is it how much they get or how much you pay? I mean, in Russia.
Gross.
What?
It's gross salary.
Okay.
So it's
Who pays the taxes? The person who gets the salary or the company?
both. So if I pay
You can't
somebody
escape salaries.
2,500, then it's actually 35% more expensive for me because I have to pay tax on that person's gross salary, and then the government takes money from the employees, so they get less.
So he gets those 500.
1,800 around.
Yeah.
Around 1,800. If the salary
1,800. То есть 2500 зарплату платят, на руки 1800.
Okay, once again, breaking down the figures for the junior developers in Finland. With a gross 2,500, you get about 1,800.
It seems that the universities are using game art as a really popular way to get a lot of students into the university. So I have every week artists get in touch with me and they offer to come work for free as a trainee for a couple of months, just so they could get the experience and get a job after that.
Yeah, but then it goes like if you are a really good server programmer, you have AWS and such a thing, or like cloud computing, and you have even some experience in gaming, so you can easily earn like 5,000 plus, which ends up to like 3,000 something like net. And then you need to remember that even if in Finland we pay lots of taxes, the taxes go straight to all these like functions that we organize, like education. There is also your pension fund, your unemployment fund, your social insurance covering health. So money runs back to the society. That's the way we do it, simply.
And
you get it back.
One of the things is that if you are going to work in an established company, if you're going to work with the big guys, then the salary is of course higher. It depends quite a lot to whom you are working to. It depends also which level you are. So are you junior, senior, or expert? It depends also what kind of position you have in the company. And for instance, in many startups, even the salaries, if the salaries are low, there might be some upsides, for instance, shares or something like that, which basically cover. If everything goes well, it covers quite a lot of your salary, lack of salary. So it's really depending, but on average, Finnish game developers' salaries were a little bit higher than the Finnish average salaries
I think one thing that might be interesting to know is how long it takes to build a team. So if you're hiring a junior developer, you can find somebody, to do an iOS, Android application, maybe work on Unity. You can find a person like that in a month, maybe 2 months maximum. Then if you need someone more senior with special experience, like with us, we wanted someone who's been doing online multiplayer games. It took us a half a year to find that kind of a person.
All right, we have a question.
Hello. Actually, the question is about firing people. How difficult to fire people in Finland? If you hire one, it's easy and understandable. But then when things not go that well, you sometimes need to fire them. And how it's turned out to be.
Now, there is a certain process for firing. And let's say that if you are a studio less than 10 people, I would say that the process is fairly short, like we call it negotiation. So is it like 1 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops, and then the notice periods that you need to pay, and then if you have a big studio, the negotiation period is to start with 6 weeks, and then the notice periods, depending on how long you've been in this company. But it's not like crazy. Like long.
What if the person doesn't want to go?
Then we carry him out.
What?
We carry him out.
Okay. So you negotiate until he or she
There has to be a
does.
good reason. Like usually, if there is an economic reason, so then like nobody argues.
If your company is making a loss, then it's easier to justify. But you can't say that I don't like that person. You can't say that he or she is lazy or anything like that. You have to show that they have done something wrong. You know, like they were given a clear instruction and they didn't follow it, and then you have notified them of this error, and then you have tried to help them and teach them stuff like that. So to cut it short, it's a bit of a hassle if the person has been working for you long. Always it would be best if you get them to somehow feel and admit that this is not the place where they see their future, and then you can offer some kind of package that I'll pay you like a couple of months' salary if you resign yourself. When you hire a new person, there's like a 3 to 4 month period. This is like a trial period, and then you can end it. But maybe you know better what are the acceptable.
Within a day, but it's mutual. So when you are in trial period, you can also say that, yeah, okay, I do not belong here, and I go tomorrow. That's it.
So you should decide it within a couple of months that do you want this person to be with you for the long term.
And if you think about how volatile the game industry is, and you said that what if the person doesn't want to go? Yeah. That person would be the difficult person that nobody wants to hire in the future either. So you kind of, when you sign with the game industry, you sign with the fact that your company might not have the future, and then when it becomes very difficult, you need to let go and find another company to work for or start your own. So that's the kind of the dynamics of the industry. Some people might be difficult, but then they might not get that very good chances to get the next job.
Okay. So, thank you. We have another question.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Мария.
Good afternoon, my name is Maria. Here in Russia we develop games for children, and I want to know if what's the situation with children games in Finland? Are there any specific features? Are there any secrets on that, on some profiting models? So probably you can contribute some of your experience for us, because in Russia the situation is quite a bad one with children's games.
The question is, do you know anything about games for kids in Finland? How does it work? Because as she says, in Russia it doesn't work quite well. Maybe it's better in Finland. How can you comment?
What kind of games are they? Are they educative or just like entertaining or...
Обучающие? Больше, наверное, обучающие.
More educational, but well, you can play them for fun as well.
Можно в целом, да.
You could give us some general advice.
Consumers, so they don't want to pay for anything, and they love everything that's cheap and good.
Like Russians.
Yeah. So that's why they, a great vacation for a Finn is to go on a cruise boat to Sweden or Tallinn and eat in the buffet, and then they're disappointed that this is not a Michelin experience. So we've tried some children's games, and we've done work for hire for big Finnish media companies to make local games for Finnish market. And you would think that parents care about their children's future and education, and they would be willing to spend money for quality content. But no, they download the free-to-play crap where your child comes crying and says that we need to make an in-app purchase to save this penguin from getting lost in a snowstorm or something like that. So I wouldn't do it for Finland.
I think that at least some successful cases are with the network, the national network, Pikku Kakkonen, the show that runs for kids. They've been doing kind of a lot of interactive and gaming content for the followers of the show. So that kind of models that it comes with the whole ecosystem of the kids' entertainment would be perhaps one of the good formulas. I don't know.
Yeah, but then if you do stuff for Finnish TV channels, if they can even maybe be the publisher, but then it has to be cross-platform, because they don't want to be limited just to one platform like iOS or Android. They want it on the website also, because they want one game that's kind of like everywhere.
I would say that this like educational games, they are just coming. Finns are like, we get our education practically for free, so, and we are not like used to pay for it. So many Finnish serious gaming cluster companies, they go to seek for the money elsewhere in cultures that are used to pay for that type of content, like Asia or like America.
Yes, and if you think about the actually Finnish serious gaming cluster made a study last year, 2015, and the turnover, there is around 60 companies making serious games, not only for kids but all kind of serious games, and the turnover of that cluster was around 9 million euros. So basically, it means that serious games are not very serious business at the moment for anyone. So it's not only in Russia; it's also a global phenomenon. And there is many reasons for that, one of them being that serious games are competing against the entertainment games, as Erik mentioned, and it's a little bit unfair competition. And on the other hand, if you think about kids' games, I think that most of the games, or not most of the games, but many of the games adults play are also games kids are playing. So it's very hard to define what is basically a kids' game in that sense.
But I could say that, you are on the right path. I believe that there is future in this area, and you could go and connect with the serious gaming cluster people in Finland.
But the kids still don't have the credit cards.
Yeah, kids have their credit cards.
Well, cards are,
credit cards.
the numbers are already there. They just have to, confirm. That's it. Parents have. Okay, from kids getting back to money. How many investors are there in Finland? Who knows? A lot? Many?
Well, it depends.
Okay.
My answer speaking, it depends.
Investors that have money, let me specify.
There is around 300, 400 business angels. Then there is some ventures, like Sisu Ventures, which is basically small-scale investment seed funding. Then there is a couple of VCs, which are quite small, actually. Let's say that there is less than 5 of them. And then there is companies who are investing a little bit different ways, like IPR VC, which is investing to the not to the company, not to the equity, but to the product itself or IP itself. So there is not too many investors in Finland, and most of the investment received by the Finnish game companies came from UK or from Silicon Valley.
So do you have to be a Finnish company to get investments from Finnish investors? Or why UK investors are interested so much in Finnish companies?
Yeah.
Because they're good, yeah.
I think what happens is that the Finnish investors might be the early stage investors in a startup or a game studio, and then once you get your first product or prototype out there, then you can attract investment from the US or UK or other regions.
So it's a small-scale investment, maybe like 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, in some cases more. And usually it's backed up by the government funding, biggest funding.
And if people here are looking for investment, I recommend visiting Helsinki at the worst time possible in November for the Slush event.
Slush,
that's where this year they're going to have a direct flight for all the venture capitalists from Silicon Valley to Helsinki.
It sounds good,
They're chartering a private plane to bring these guys over.
But last year, it was my first time at Slush, and I go to a lot of conferences, around the world, but it was my first time at Slush, and for the first hour, I was just, walking around, looking lost and feeling lost because there were so many people, and I had no idea who those people were. They were not about gaming; they were about, tech in general, and it was really hard to find anyone. So before you go to Slush, you have to be, either really be prepared or know exactly who you're going to meet there, because it's huge. It's 10,000 people.
I have a great hint for
70.
If you want to go to Slush, there is a competition that is run by Finnish game developers called World Championship of Game Development, and they're actually flying representatives of the winning teams or the kind of the best teams to Slush. So that's one thing to check out if you want to run down a little bit of your costs to go to Slush.
Yeah,
and kind of immediately meet people that are relevant.
Slush as an event is geared very much to find matching startups and venture capital. So they have a matchmaking if you are a startup and you're looking for money. If you just want to attend, then it's more difficult. You have to find the connections yourself.
Can you help with the connections?
Or maybe you could even just simply rent a booth there, go there together and show what you have.
Yes.
That's easy. And then you do all your study work and try to catch those people. Because you may be there queuing up, having a lunch queue, and behind you there is the guy that you really need to meet, and you just talk.
Я рекомендую взять визитки у этих людей после круглого стола.
I recommend that you take the business cards of these people because they will be able to liaise you with people in Finland whom you can meet to promote your projects.
All right, so I think we're going to wrap up. I think that was a very interesting discussion. Do you have anything to add? Something inspiring, maybe?
I would say that foster your community. That's one of the most important things to do. Don't compete with each other with blood and tears, but support each other because it's a flashing moment that you're going to succeed or not. So foster the community.
Hey, hey.
Давайте поаплодируем.
Thank you, dear participants.